What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Make sure to like and subscribe as you tune into the channel. We got a full house today. We got Jim in here, got Tump, we got E-Man, and we got Clayton in here at full house today. I guess everybody will be coming in and going out, as you know. Some people had some prior engagements or some other things, but man, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot on this docket, right? And even before we even started to go live, man, my guy, our guy, Eastside Legend was in the chat, and he was like, "Man, I hope y'all talk about Caitlin Clark versus Connecticut, man. That situation that was going on, Caitlin Clark in Connecticut." And I was like, "Yeah, you know, definitely Eastside. We're gonna talk about that."
Yeah,
man.
But before we get into that specific situation, you guys see that Connecticut and the Sky got into it.
Oh, Connecticut in the Sky.
Yeah, the Sun and the Sky, the game the other night, it was getting chippy. I didn't watch the game, but man, they're Connecticut Suns turning into the Pistons of the 80s.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Clayton and Mike, boy. Y'all got to run point on this, man. Y'all the ones that really be dialed in on it, man. Y'all got to run point on this topic before you tap out.
Hey, Jim got the WNBA league pass.
Yeah.
Don't you, Jim?
Yeah, I do.
I know.
I know.
Yeah.
But look, so with Connecticut though, it was what was it? Angel Reese. I mean, I said Angel Reese. For Connecticut, it was Caitlin Clark, and who was the young lady she was going up against though? The one who fouled her, not Mayberry.
JC Sheldon.
Yeah, JC Sheldon.
Yeah.
They was working one-on-one, and they was getting kind of chippy and physical and stuff like that, you know. And you know, I think that Caitlin Clark, I don't know, did you feel like she flopped, or you felt like she exaggerated like the contact that went on with her and the Sheldon young lady?
Oh no, I don't think she flopped at all. I mean, their rivalry, their chippiness goes back to Ohio State versus Iowa. They've been doing that to each other.
Yeah.
I think the girl fouled it good. I think she got hit in the eye, and I definitely think Mabry bumped her good. And I don't think it was a flop because he bumped her where Caitlin fell into the referee. So I don't think that was a flop per se.
Yeah.
But yeah,
I didn't
it definitely
think it was a flop either, because when she bumped Caitlin was, number one, wasn't expecting it. Number two, I thought Caitlin was off balance. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I didn't think it was a flop.
Right. When you're not prepared for the bump or the contact,
Yeah. So I didn't think it was a bump, right? But one thing before you go, Clayton, one thing I want to talk about, right? And so Sophie Cunningham, right? Sophie Cunningham is like, that's her partner in crime. That's her Charles Oakley, right? So Sophie Cunningham, you know, came up to her defense, right? I thought was good.
But did she?
Well,
did she? Now this is where I'm gonna get a little annoyed with all the talk, man, because when all that went down, I was waiting for somebody to step up and make that moment.
Yeah, you're right.
The moment you got to at that time when that happens, you got to step up. And I know Aaliyah Boston's not that person, because she's just a teddy bear,
right?
You know, and that's why they brought in other folks. But nobody stood up, man. If you guys are playing with me, and Mike, you're the big dog, and you're doing all the scoring, and somebody comes up and takes you out and does that to you, man, I'm getting in faces, I'm pushing, and I'm even throwing. Because I got your back.
But see, you gotta look at it this way though. The WNBA isn't really used to having that bad boy or that bad team mentality, and now they got these superstars that they gotta protect. It's a whole new realm for them. So they might be looking at it as the fact that, like, hey, you know, I don't know if I could. What should I do? You know what I'm saying? How should I handle this? You know, maybe they wanted to get in the girl's face, but then they're like, well, maybe I shouldn't handle it in this way, because they're not used to the publicity being on top of their backs with them doing that. So somebody got to be the bad guy in the situation.
Yeah.
So maybe that's what they're setting up to, and now they're probably like, oh, maybe we should allow this, or maybe I just need to go ahead and take that 2 game suspension or something like that.
Listen, Jim, I'm gonna say this. You said somebody needed to step up in the moment. Well, it's another angle out there, and what happened was Coach Sophie was coming off the bench, and the coaches grabbed her and stopped her from going out there when Mabry bumped Caitlin. She came up off the bench. The coach had to grab her arm and pull her back. So she was at least trying to clear the bench. She was going. Yeah.
I remember she wasn't out there on the floor when that happened.
Yeah.
And to your point, all right. So at that moment, they didn't get the response. They didn't get the They didn't get the response that people wanted to see at that moment, as far as like stepping up and Caitlin, right?
Right. I agree.
Later on, Sophie got into a scuffle with the young lady.
It was JC Sheldon. She tackled her ass. And look, it was yes, she grabbed her around the neck. She made sure she ain't hurt her, but she sent a message. But before that happened, when Caitlin was walking to the bench, Sophie grabbed Caitlin's arm and pulled her to her and said something to her. So a lot of people are debating whether she was getting her get back from the game before when the Suns made her hurt her ankle, or was she protecting Caitlin? I think it was a combination of both, because she pulled Caitlin aside, said something. But yeah, Sophie was ready to come up off that bench, man. Them coaches grabbed her.
Yeah.
Real talk. Yeah. So
I didn't know until this week that Sophie Cunningham has a black belt in.
Yeah, that's what they saying. Yeah, that's what they saying.
Oh, she a regular old John Jones then.
Yeah.
I don't know.
How about that?
Yeah. Well, but look.
And she played on her high school football team.
High school football team with the dudes.
Yeah.
Granted, she was the kicker, but she was on the team. But
look, you had some young ladies that's playing in this WNBA. You know, they got some tough girls and some athletes anyway. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the thing is, what about the Indiana Fever is every night, and Kelsey, what's the young lady named Kelsey Mitchell said it, like they playing soft. You know what I mean? As a team, they are soft, and every night that they play, they get team's A game because of Caitlin Clark, and because this team now is built, you know what I mean? It's a better team than they had last year. So don't nobody want to be a highlight for this team. So you're gonna get their A game.
Well, look at this. Let's look at it this way too. The excitement that fighting bringing to the WNBA is what they need to keep the voice up. We know who Caitlin Clark is. We know what she does. What else is going to be the narrative when it comes to that? Let's look at the fight that happened in the Big Three.
Yeah.
The first game in the Big Three is a dramatic fight, including, I didn't even know Dwight Howard was playing in the Big Three. But yet here he is in the big fight. You know what I'm saying? So, if you want to have another narrative that goes on in your league, you got to have the bad boy in there now.
Yeah. Like I said, the Indiana Fever going to have to get tougher, because every game for them is somebody else's playoff game.
Right.
They got to get tougher.
Yeah, when Kelsey said they was soft, she was saying that about the game they played against the Valkyries. Because against Connecticut, to me, they fought through that physicality. They dished out some on their own on the other end. They wound up beating them. And I thought defensively they was physical. I thought New York, they played physical. Even New York said they were very physical against us. They played good D. But that game against the Valkyries, they was soft. And that's what Kelsey was referring to.
I watched some of that game against the Valkyries. And the Valkyrie was dominating them on all parts of the basketball court.
Yes.
The Valkyrie was playing, not only it was playing physical, they was playing smart and physical.
They was playing smart.
There's a difference between playing physical and playing smart and physical.
Yeah.
And that's what they were doing.
Hey, Clayton, to your point, you're right. That they didn't play as aggressive as they needed to against the Valkyrie, right?
Yes.
Right. And they got up for New York. So that means that they have to recognize that they got to get up for everybody. You know what I mean? They need to get up for everybody.
Yeah, and I'm going to give the Valkyries a lot of credit. The coach and also their defenders, them guards and stuff like that. They're long, they're athletic, and they played. They didn't really beat up Caitlin. They was quick. They stayed in front of her. They made her take difficult shots, and she was uncomfortable all night. And with her being uncomfortable, now Indiana don't flow in their offense like they normally do. So the Valkyries, I didn't think they was going to win many games. I thought they was just going to be an expansion team. Everybody go through there, beat them up. That crowd, that energy, that team, they play great together. And they got a good coach. They got an excellent coach. Yeah. So they taught Indiana a lesson. They humbled them. And Caitlin's going to have to find a way, and the team's going to have to find a way to overcome this, because that's the blueprint now. You know, they're going back to blitzing her. They being physical. They are trying to make sure she don't get to that left spot, that logo 3. She's gonna have to start taking them twos, going past, getting in the paint, taking them twos, then come back out later. But
Indiana,
they're gonna have to figure it out.
Indiana will figure it out. They're gonna have to do the same thing that Golden State did with Steph, you know, in the beginning. They're gonna have to put somebody like a Draymond around Caitlin that's going to be there to enforce whatever she needs to enforce, and you know, and do those hard fouls, get those hard picks, and that's going to be able to set her up. They will figure that out, because there's a blueprint for the way that Caitlin Clark plays. Okay, and who to get for her and how to get it. So as long as they follow that blueprint and recognize it, they'll put a physical team around it, just like Golden State put a physical team around Steph.
Yeah, but I will say this too. You only need the whole team. You only need a couple.
Right. You only need a couple. You need one person that's going to take 5 fouls a game. That's what you need. That one person say, look, I'm going to use all 6 of my fouls up, and I'm probably going to foul out most of my games, but I'm going to protect Caitlin Clark.
I'm gonna say one other thing about the Valkyrie game. I will say that after playing Connecticut and how physical that game was, then you take the West Coast trip and things of this nature. She still got 13. She still got 13 shots off, and she got 7 threes off. And I won't bet money that she missed. She go 0 for 7 from 3 again. So I think a lot of it was the Valkyries D. I think a lot of it was, you know, the fatigue. And I think she had a bad shooting night as well. But she got another one coming Sunday. She got to play the Aces Sunday. It's gonna be another one. Physical. They're gonna they got long defenders. Jackie Young can guard the perimeter. So it's gonna be tough for her again. So I'm interested to see that game tomorrow at 3 against the Aces.
That's gonna be another good one. But, all right. So look, I want to say, Kent Carlson, man, welcome back to the chat. Also, Kent, appreciate the super chat you sent in last week. I didn't get an opportunity last week to say thanks for the super chat. And so Kent says that y'all see how calm and cool, collective Sophie was, like, in the face of it all, right? So so maybe that's where that black belt that's where that black belt comes in at.
Sophie about that. I haven't been watching the WNBA long, but now I've looked back on old clips. Sophie been a menace. She was a menace with Diana Taurasi. She been a menace. She about that life for real.
For real.
She about that for real. She blonde, but she about that.
Right.
I was disappointed in Natasha Howard a little bit, but not really, because she may have a relationship with Mabry. Marine Mabry, but she just was holding Mabry like, come on. So maybe they got a relationship, but I was a little disappointed in that, because Natasha Howard looked like she could throw them hands a little bit. But obviously,
the thing about that though, Clayton.
You
know that Charles Oakley looked out for Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? Even when Charles Oakley was up in New York, you still couldn't. He playing in a whole nother city. You still couldn't abuse Mike.
Nope.
You know what I mean, his loyalty. So the Indiana Fever is going to have.
Mike wasn't no chump, though. You know what I mean? Mike wasn't no chump. You know what I mean?
No, he wasn't. Yeah.
But look, Chump, this young lady, Caitlin Clark, ain't no chump either, though.
No, she not.
She talked the talk and she walked that walk.
Yeah, but let's not forget though, Mike still had Horace Grant. Mike still had Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
He still had them big boys looking out for him now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? He still had them.
Yeah.
Because back then in the NBA, you needed them.
Yeah.
Back then in the NBA, you needed them.
I don't need big guys around me. If I got guys that just I can depend on.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. I mean, win or lose, if you got my back and I got your back and we can trust each other, that's all I need.
That's how the Showtime Lakers in the 80s were built. I mean, their enforcer was Kurt Rambis. And everybody went at Kurt Rambis.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But Magic still had Worthy and Green and all those other guys that he could depend on.
Yeah, no doubt. Yeah, and I think that's why I think that what Kelsey Mitchell said was important, because they need to toughen up as a team.
Yes.
Yep.
You know, you can't. And so that way, because like I said, Caitlin Clark is not afraid. She feisty and she a firecracker anyway. But you don't want her to get put out the game. You know what I mean?
He gives.
And let me tell you,
he gives.
And let me tell you, the last championship team that I saw that I believe was soft was that Miami Heat, the Miami Heat team with LeBron and Bosh and Dwayne Wade. I thought that was a soft championship team. You know what I'm saying? And and I'm a Heat fan, but I just thought they was really soft when it came to.
Not when you got Udonis Haslem there. I'm not going to associate Udonis Haslem with soft.
Hey, I thought that team was soft.
He was on that.
Even if they had it, they still soft. I thought they was a soft championship team, and the reason I say that because they let Dallas walk in there and beat them.
Well, that's because their leader. That's because their leader didn't play up to. I don't even want to get into. I just don't.
Right, but I mean, I don't want to get into how soft LeBron was and everything. I'm just saying, as a team, I just thought they was a soft championship team. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I mean, you had Chris Bosh that was hurt a lot. You know that hindered a lot of that run. You know, you had LeBron that never wanted to take the last shot of the game. So you know, you had to bring in other guys to take the last shot for LeBron. And, you know, you had Dwayne Wade that was consistent, but he wasn't a tough player. You know what I'm saying? He was that pretty boy consistency. So, you know, that, like I said,
I push back on that, but you know
what about Dwayne Wade? Dwayne Wade?
I'm like the whole thing being soft. I really don't.
No. See, no. I'm not saying the whole team was soft. What I'm saying, as a team, they were soft.
Where baby girl at? Where baby girl? Okay. Yeah. Hey, fellas, I'm gonna be fellas. All right. Y'all have a good show. Have a good rest of your show.
All right.
All right. Peace out.
Travel safe, Clayton.
Yeah. I didn't see the Heat as being. I thought that Dwayne Wade was fearless, and then I thought Udonis Haslem was he was the enforcer, and now was John Jones down there that went on Miami after that during those years, or he came a little bit after?
Not sure.
Yeah, I think he came after. Okay. But I mean, wasn't that Dwayne Wade? I mean, wasn't that team set up? Came about right after that Detroit Piston team with Wallace and all of them on there?
I'm not sure. I'm not even sure. Yeah.
Because if you had a definition of a tough championship team, that team that had Wallace on there and who else was on that Detroit team when they won the championship?
You talking about with
seeing all them dudes, Rasheed Wallace,
all them.
Yeah, that was a tough team.
Yeah, that was a tough team back then.
Yeah. But let me see. Yeah, man, I just think that as a team, the Fever going to have to get tougher. And I think they will, because every night they getting everybody's A game, and if they don't get tougher, they gonna get stopped. Yeah, and so Rip Hamilton was that dude. He was that Detroit team was just a tough team all the way through. Then you had Tayshaun Prince.
Right, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, that was probably the most underrated team that won a championship.
I forget about those guys all the time. Yeah. No, I forget about that team all the time.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
It's easy to.
Yeah.
Yeah, and considering they beat my team, so I tried. I tried.
But if you look at it now, though, that team was built the same way the two teams that playing tomorrow night for the NBA championship. You know what I'm saying? That team was built the same exact way. They start on defense, they will run you down, and they play. They play hard.
Well, I think Indiana more so. OKC, they got a superstar where I wouldn't necessarily consider nobody on that. Even though they got 2 Hall of Famers on that Detroit team, I wouldn't say neither one of them was superstars. And Chauncey and Ben Wallace, like OKC got Shea Gill. But you're right, that Indiana team, you know what I mean? Because it's really not like a superstar, no all-star type player. I mean, Siakam, I think Siakam made the all-star team before.
Yeah,
I think he made the all-star team before. But yeah, they ain't really got like, superstars like that. Siakam won too. Siakam won in Toronto. Yeah, Siakam won. Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Let me ask y'all this about the Fever, right? And like in their situation, like the Fever, they didn't have sometimes when you have good teams, like great teams, like sneak up on you. But the Fever, because Caitlin Clark came in with all of this hype and everything, he wasn't able to sneak up on like the WNBA. People was like, they were like there waiting for her. And then so once you get past her rookie season and all of the acquisitions that the team has made, so everybody around the league and all the fans know that they gearing up too. So there is no surprise with Caitlin Clark, right? As far as like, like what the expectation is for the Fever. Now, when you look at other players that come in the league, like they don't have right off the bat, they're not like put in a situation where like that spotlight is on them like that. And I think that's why teams are really like gearing up to go at them like the way they do.
Hey, but you know why the spotlight is on them? Because the media puts the spotlight on them. Let's be honest with you. What has Indiana done?
Well,
they sell tickets and everything, right? They haven't won yet. You know what I'm saying? We should be talking about the WNBA champions from last year. Isn't there a team that's only lost like one game so far this year?
The Lynx. Oh, you mean lost one? You talking about the Lynx who lost?
Right, the team that only has lost one game this year so far, right?
Yeah.
Well, and the Liberty.
So we're talking about Indiana because of Caitlin Clark. We're not talking about Indiana because of what they accomplished so far.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We're talking about it because Caitlin Clark goes out. They're selling $40 tickets. She gets injured, and the tickets go down to $3. You know what I'm saying? That's what we're really talking about. And teams are gearing up for them because it's prime time every time they play.
That says
it all. Why?
Yeah, that says it all right there. Ticket prices going from $40 to $3. That says it all right there.
Right. Teams are playing them different because they know they're playing to an audience right now. You know what I'm saying? They're playing to the highest they're playing to the highest caliber right now when they play Indiana.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That's why everybody's gearing up. It's not necessarily Caitlin Clark that's gearing them up. It's the publicity that's gearing them up. I can't look bad. If I'm a center, I can't look bad playing on national television because what is it like 90% of their games was on national television now for Indiana?
Yeah. And that's why you don't want to look bad. You don't want to be a highlight. You know, Caitlin Clark stopping on a dime. That shot she hit on who was the my girl in New York?
Stewie.
The shot she hit on Stewie. Like Stewie could not have played her no better. She stopped on a dime and hit a logo 3. And all Stewie could do was just
laugh.
And
give a big up.
And it's the same thing when Jordan started his run of being the great. People didn't want to get embarrassed by Jordan on prime time. You know what I'm saying? So they would try their best not to get embarrassed.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Right. Yeah. Well, good luck with that. Exactly. But they would try their best. Like, if I'm playing Jordan on prime time, especially if I'm sticking them, forget being on forget being on the team that's playing against them and you lose by 40. Now, forget that part. If I'm sticking Jordan, I'm like, fuck, now I got to stick Jordan tonight. I don't want to get embarrassed on primetime television.
And so it's the same thing with this young lady, right?
Because same thing.
Yeah, it's the same thing. But look, Eastside Legend said, who do you guys think is better between Caitlin Clark and Paige Beckers, right? So, in my opinion, I think it's Caitlin Clark, but I think Paige Becker is coming along. She's coming along real good, and that's to my point is where Paige Becker will have the opportunity to, like, because all of the attention is on Caitlin Clark, so Paige will have the ability to, like, sneak up on people, so to speak. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I mean that's what I think. I think it's definitely Caitlin.
I mean,
But,
Caitlin's a year ahead of her in the professional ranks, right? So she's already fought through all that, rookie season stuff last year, and that's the thing that makes it difficult for WNBA rookies. They go through especially the gals that are on the women that are on the top tier teams that make it deep into the NCAAs. They got to turn around and get drafted,
Right.
and then go right into their professional season. Man, that's a grind.
That's no off season. Yeah, they don't have no off season like that.
Yeah. I mean, they're thrown into the deep end, and Sue Bird and Taurasi said it last year. When these women come in as rookies, they're gonna get all the smoke from the the gals that have been there for a while.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they're making all the money.
Yeah.
Because they coming in making the money.
And they got hype. A lot of them got that hype coming in, and they want to humble them. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, they want to humble them coming right in from college. Yeah.
Right. Exactly, Tom. That's it. You know what I mean? And they wanted to do the same thing with Caitlin, right? Mm-hmm. And I made a video about like sometimes you have alphas that come along and you expect these people that are alphas to like ingratiate themselves to the league or to the team that they on. But if you that one, number one, it's not in your nature to ingratiate yourself because you that one. And then number two, you don't have to, and so people push back on that. And so that's something else that you have to deal with if you playing at that type of level. So let me think. Edward Rooker says, let me see, the last couple of games, Howard not been on the same page with Clark in pace of the offense, on the offense end, and plus interior defense. And I can agree with that. I just think that even like the chemistry still has to be developed with that team too. I do think like Howard is not on the same page with them, but I think they still developing.
But let me ask you a question. Are we talking about the fact that we surprised that they lost? I mean, because they're gonna lose. I mean, it's gonna happen. I mean, Caitlin Clark is not she's dominant in what she does, but the team as a whole is not a dominant team. So I can see them losing to some regular teams, some of the higher end teams that with better records and stuff like that. I mean, it happens. It happens in the sport. What we doing?
Maybe it's how they lost. Maybe that might be a little bit of a surprise. Like how they were defeated. Maybe.
I mean, but we're talking about Caitlin Clark like she's already earned that Jordan title of the WNBA. Yeah. And I don't think she has earned it yet. You know what I'm saying? I think it's still flaws in her game. I think she's still accolading to being in the pros, and I think you're going to get these hiccups no matter we tend to forget this is her second year. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? This is literally her second year in the WNBA.
I think people are just getting excited about the potential.
Exactly.
Right? It happens in sports all the time. Everyone gets so enamored with the upside, right? And it's just, and I think the exciting thing is just how she's delivering on a lot of expectations, right? I mean, that first game back, people had high expectations, and what did she do? She went out and shattered those expectations. Man, she was on fire. She couldn't miss. She was doing all these things. Yeah. So I think Man is dead on. She's not. We can't anoint her the female Jordan, but I think the exciting thing is the potential that she's shown and the progress that she's and the fearlessness and the skill level, just all the things, right? She's got the trajectory.
Yeah, she didn't live up to the hype, if you ask me. She didn't live up to she hasn't disappointed.
Yeah.
She hasn't disappointed. Yeah.
But I think that like what Jim said is important though, because it's not like people trying to crown her already. It's anticipation and excitement. And so this is the thing I always say too, like with franchise ball players, and I always say this about the NBA, like that's why I don't like to see franchise ball players move from team to team, right? Because when you get to ride that roller coaster ride with your franchise ball player, if that's, you know what I mean, if that's somebody who you support. So when Michael Jordan first came to the league and they was getting beat up by Boston and Detroit, you know, that just made for more drama because you followed the ups and downs of Michael Jordan's career. And then once they finally broke through and won that championship, you know, I just thought that it was, you know, it just made for a better and a more loyal fan base, in my opinion. Same thing with Steph Curry. I think that fan base for Steph Curry is more loyal to Steph Curry than a fan base, and let me know if y'all disagree, than like Kevin Durant fan base. You know what I mean? Because that fan base in Golden State, they rode that roller coaster ride with Steph Curry. He almost got traded. He always had ankle injuries and stuff like that. And so they've been through all that, the ups and downs. It's almost like being like a family member in a sense, you know? And so I don't know what y'all think about that.
That's an interesting point that, you know, you bring up Kevin Durant, especially since him and Steph played together.
Right.
With KD, man, KD is like, it's interesting, man, because, you know, he's going to go down as one of the, you know what I mean, top 20 player all time. You know what I'm saying? He's going to go down as a top 20 player. But what would his legacy be, though? You know what I'm saying? Like, what would KD legacy be? And he's a winner. He's an MVP, two-time finals MVP, things like that. But, you know, like, when you speak on KD, like, what would you know, I mean, what would your legacy about him?
Yeah.
What would you say his legacy was? So that's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah.
But then with KD comes along that, like you said, he gonna go down as a top 20, right? But then you still have that what if. Like, what if he had stayed in OKC? You know what I mean? So that, whereas though we don't have to, ain't no guessing about like Steph Curry. We know how that, you know what I mean, how that story turned out. And KD is a beast. You know what I mean? He a beast. But what if he had stayed?
See, the thing about with that, go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead. I mean, I agree. I mean, what if he'd have stayed? Let's not remember those three guys that he stayed with. None of them won championships except for him. You know what I'm saying? And then we figured out exactly who Harden was.
Yes, sir.
You know, we figured that out a long time ago. We figured out who Harden was. And you know, Westbrook, we just figured out that Westbrook has a goddamn heart like a lion. He's always on go. And I don't know if Kevin Durant could have kept up with Westbrook, because he's always on go. Even now at 100, he's still running up and down the court.
And see, like you said, if KD stay, that don't mean the other guys stay. You know what I mean? If you stay, that don't mean the other guys stay.
Exactly. Look at it like that, but KD is a franchise ball player, though. You know what I mean? So you can put, like, if KD stay put, you can replace a James Harden and a Russell Westbrook. As a matter of fact, you want a better point guard around KD anyway. Yeah. You know what I mean? So, you know, like, he is going to be your anchor, and so that's why, you know, people. This dude, like you said, he made top 20 without even having that, you know, that type of stability.
So let me ask you a question. So as Kevin Durant started his moving to franchise to franchise, he was the anchor on every franchise he's moved to.
That's true.
Okay, and look what happened.
No. Well, we had injuries in Jersey. They had injuries in Jersey. You know what I'm saying?
So they had injuries in Phoenix.
Yeah, well, Phoenix was just thin, man. You know what I mean? They just wasn't a deep ball team. You know what I'm saying? That move, they just wasn't deep, man. You know.
Are we talking about KD's impact, or we're talking about what he played with? I'm talking about his impact. If he's a franchise player, his impact on both of those teams was none. Actually, if you look at it, was worse to me.
Well, when he was with Brooklyn, they almost made the finals. When he was with Brooklyn, they lost to Giannis and them. When he was so, you know what I mean.
I think it just speaks to the importance of chemistry and building the right team with the right pieces.
That's exactly what I'm saying. Right.
Because don't forget, the Lakers had LeBron, Westbrook, and AD, and they didn't even make the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
Right? How does that happen? Somebody explain that.
Right.
And the only answer is that they just don't work well together.
Right. That's what. Yep.
And so, like when superstar ball players like that at that level, when they think that they can play general manager too, I think it hurts the team. You know, like do your job, allow the team to put those pieces around you that's going to help you and be more successful. But moving around,
but that's a good point, Mike. But see, let's go about what Jim brought up a little while ago, the trade, right? You can be as loyal to a franchise as you want, but if the franchise don't reciprocate that loyalty, you know what I mean? What happens then? Because no one, even Luka himself, expected to get traded. So when the franchise be like, you the franchise player and all that, and we can trade you, it's like, damn,
Please let's not talk about that.
In the gut, you know what I mean? It's like a punch in the gut.
Please let's not talk about that.
All right. I'm sorry.
I know you're trying to prove a point, but now we understand why that trade was made.
Oh, yeah.
Because now the Lakers are a $10 billion team. And the person that paid the $10 billion team already owns stock in the team. So he paid $10 billion just to get control of the team.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
So you think the trade happened because
of Luka? Absolutely.
Absolutely. You think he wanted to go?
No, I think the Lakers needed that trade to bring that value of that team up.
I'm not doubting that, but I don't know if that precipitated the trade though. You know what I mean? The trade definitely helped them become more valuable as a franchise, but I don't know that they said we're gonna make this trade and then sell to him and get $10 billion. But you could be right. There could be talks going on, you know what I'm saying, that we don't, you know what I mean, we don't know nothing about.
Listen, I'm gonna tell you this. To get $10 billion built up, that's a long-term transaction you got to do. You don't wake up one morning and say, hey, I'm about to Lakers for $10 billion. You building this contract, you building this sale up. And somewhere down the line, somebody said, look, yeah, you got AD, yeah, you got an old LeBron, you got a hurt AD. You ain't worth what you worth. And Jim and Jenny, as smart as she is, yeah, you might be right. What can I do to make my franchise a little bit more, economically suitable for this guy that wants to build this team? So you do this trade. Now, all of a sudden, Dallas looks weak, but then they get the first pick, and they got a 1 in 98 billion chance.
1.3%. We were talking about that. We were talking about this before we went live, man. And that exact thing. It's like, I don't live close to water, but something smells fishy.
Exactly. Then hold on, and then the end the whole scenario and in the story, you sell the franchise not to somebody outside, but you sell the franchise to somebody already owns 39% for $10 billion. My Cowboys is only $9 billion. And we gotta stay.
Well, let me ask y'all this. So is that bad news for LeBron though, that they are under new management now? Like, will he be able to maneuver with this new management the same way he did with the old management team, like Jeannie Buss?
Yeah, because Jeannie Buss still has control.
No, I mean
they kept her as the general manager. She's still running the Lakers.
So he'll still have the same amount of control within that organization that he did with.
Yeah, but he only has one. He only has one purpose now, and that's to get the last championship before he walks off.
Right.
That's the only thing. That's the only thing he wants right now.
Yeah.
But then, and the thing about it is, if this current majority owner was already a minority owner at one time, What's the difference?
Exactly.
Yeah, what's the difference? And
that's why I asked that question, because I think the difference is say so and control. Like,
well, I'm gonna tell you what the real difference is, because I saw it on Sports Center one day. I was watching it this week. What's gonna happen is this: they want to tear the Staples Center, or whatever they call it. They want to tear it down and build a new arena there. Okay, the new ownership. So they're looking for a how can I say it? The future of the Lakers. Right. They're not looking at the presence of the Lakers. They're looking at the future of the Lakers. And Luka is the future of the NBA, not just the Lakers.
Right.
So that's what they're looking. He's looking at a long-term thing, because they're trying to tear the Staples Center down or move it, or move them, because the Clippers Center is so much better, and the Staples Center is so outdated right now.
Yeah.
So it's more than just basketball that went on at that Lakers level. It's a lot more than just basketball.
You know that like the Lakers, like the Buss family didn't own that arena anyway. That they were renting, they leasing that spot anyway. So, no. They did own the Staples Center. No, they don't own it.
Yeah, no, the Staples Center came with it. If you look at it, they owned the Staples Center too. The Staples Center came with that Lakers purchase that they did in '79 for $60-something million. They got the franchise and
they was at the Forum.
When Magic and them was playing, that was the Forum.
Oh, the Forum. Okay. All right. I knew they said they owned one of them, and so it was the Forum they owned. Okay.
That's the Forum, yeah. But go ahead, Mike.
No, go ahead, Tom.
No, because I was saying, like, do y'all think that guy in with the Clippers, Ballmer, he built that new arena, for the Clippers, right? So, like you said, this new Laker owner said, well, I'm going to build one. Do y'all think that's going to be like the new thing, where these owners going to start building their own,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I'm going to tell you, because remember, the Cowboys was the first team to do that.
Right.
Jerry Jones was the first guy to come out his pocket and build their new stadium. So he pays nobody nothing for his attendance.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? So that's a trend. And it brings up the value of the franchise, because you're selling the building with the franchise.
Right.
So it brings it up.
Deal.
You get the stadium with it. Yeah.
So that's a real estate deal and a basketball deal then.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yes. Let me all right. So Kent Carlson says, I bet Caitlin Clark will never leave, no matter what or how much money they throw at her, right? And I can't see Caitlin Clark ever leaving Indiana. And like I said, I just think that basketball players, this new group of basketball players, just see how much, like, how moving around from franchise to franchise can affect, your ability to even win, or even your legacy, like when you get to the tail end of your career. Let me see. Now, all right. So now, what do y'all think about? I think we spoke about this, about ring culture, and the comments that was like LeBron James said about ring culture when it came to like players being able to get credit and get respect, for like the work they put in while they were in the NBA, right? What do y'all think about the ring culture? Do y'all think it's weird, like he's trying to make it out to be, or it's like, people should base legacies more so on different things than just rings?
I think the casual fan has always considered that, if you're a player and you've won championships, more than one championship, that you're on a higher level skill wise than somebody else. And I think sports fans who watch a lot of sports, and we've talked about it a lot, we understand the difference. And so I think there's definitely that aspect of ring culture out there to the casual fan. As players, that whole, I can see, let me back up. I can see how LeBron is going to take that stance on ring culture, because he wants to control the narrative of, hey, I'm a great player. Don't just look at how many rings I've got, right? Because we've had those conversations between us, right? So I think it's a valid point, right?
Mhm.
Yeah, and we in text in our text chats we've talked about it. Barry Sanders, one of the greatest running backs of all time, never got his ring. So I think there's an aspect to it that some guys you can talk to their level of greatness and not have it be about the number of rings they have.
Yeah.
But I think just the casual fan's going to have that. Hey, Brady's got 7 championships, and therefore he's the best of all time, and that becomes the debate.
I think. Go ahead, man.
Like I was saying, the key about a debate is who wins and who has the most proof to prove that side of the debate. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that always clears up any debate is facts. Okay, that's the one that clears up any debate. Mm-hmm. So when you talk about somebody like Barry Sanders to Emmitt Smith, you can debate that all day. But then somebody goes, well, Emmitt Smith has the most rushing yards out of any of the running backs. Yeah. Mm-hmm. That kind of clears up the debate a little bit. You know what I'm saying? That puts the debate on the person's side that says that. Stats is always going to be there because that's the only proof that you have about what you're trying to debate. You know what I'm saying? So that's why we do some people.
But here's the thing, right? So objectively, somebody could look at how Barry Sanders ran the football, mm-hmm. and the skill that he showed while running that football, and where it becomes difficult is us then creating the what if scenario. Okay, put Barry Sanders on that Cowboys team and put Smith on that Lions team. Mm-hmm. What happens then?
Yeah.
Right. And you can't. That becomes a fun conversation, but then there are no facts around it, right? And then we extrapolate. Well, I think Barry Sanders would have done better than Emmitt Smith on that team.
Yeah, I heard people put forth that argument too.
Yeah,
so make it hard.
When football is harder to put it on other position players other than the quarterback. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Yeah. You don't really hear somebody saying, "Oh man, the greatest," you know what I'm saying, football player ever was Ray Lewis, or Deacon Jones, or Reggie White. You know what I'm saying? They play defense. Right. The defense guys really don't get the credit like that. And you can say the best of their position. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? The best linebacker, the best, you know what I mean, defensive tackle, things like that. And even on our offense side of the ball, you know what I'm saying? But people got to debate with wide receiver. Jerry Rice won, but some people wouldn't say he was the best receiver. Somebody say Randy Moss was the best. Some people might argue T.O. So on and so forth.
Steve Largent.
Yeah, somebody might say that. You know what I'm saying? Somebody might say that. Who had the best hands? You know what I mean? Somebody say Larry Fitzgerald. Well, you know what I mean? Yeah. Chris Carter. It goes on and on. The argument or the position I take as far as NBA, to get back to that, is like the ring culture thing. I think that's relatively new. I don't think that always existed. Mm-hmm. Michael Jordan was deemed the greatest player ever, and he had 3 rings. Mm-hmm. So at that point, he was behind Magic.
And tied with Bird.
Right. He was behind in titles. He was behind Magic. He was behind Kareem. He was behind Bill Russell, of course, Havlicek, and so on and so forth. He was deemed the best player ever then, and he only had 3. Mm-hmm. He got 3 more, the 2 3-peats, phenomenal. So he lived up to that. You know what I'm saying? He lived up to where, that's an argument. Mm-hmm. But you make the thing. Now, LeBron said he named people that didn't have any rings. He got 4. I mean, there ain't nothing to snub your nose at. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He got 4 of them. So he said he mentioned Allen, he mentioned Iverson, he mentioned Barkley. He was talking to Steve Nash. Them guys don't have any championships. So he's like, but where are they flowers? My thing with that is them guys are phenomenal. I'm an AI guy. I'm a big time AI fan, right? But Mike, you mentioned the word anchor, right? Mm-hmm. Not too long ago, those guys was the anchor of their team, right? And if they came up short, no, that don't mean they not great. That don't mean they wasn't superstars, all-stars, all-time greats, but it mean that they fell short when it came to winning. Now, basketball is different than football, different than even baseball. Where you on the floor all the time. You playing offense and defense. So you can affect the games in more than one way. You know what I'm saying? You can affect the game. You can lock down the other team's best, score and things like that. So you can affect the games on both ends. So I guess it leaves more credence to say, well, hey, man, he the best because look what he did, both sides of the ball and things like that. As opposed to football, you go out there and throw 5 touchdowns, but if your defense gives up 6 touchdowns, hey, you know what I'm saying? You lose.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And same with baseball. You can get 100 home runs in the season. You know what I mean? But if they all 1-run shots, you ain't driving no more. You ain't driving in no bases, and you ain't got no pitching or no run support. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to win. Barry Bonds was the best player I didn't see. Is my opinion. He didn't get
that's right.
World Series ring. You know what I mean? That don't take away from his greatness to me. You know what I'm saying? But that ring culture is something that Jim said is more so for the casual fan. It's their argument. Well, who won the most? Who won the most? Who won? But it's more people who know about the sport factor in more than just that. That's all.
Yeah. So, all right. So, Wusha says that Wusha has a question for Eastside Legend, right? And said, Eastside, why do you think he's making noise on ring culture, chasing MJ's ghost failed, even though he started ring culture talk and when he was at the Heat, right? And so that's a good point. Do you think that LeBron James looked like a hypocrite? Because when he got to the Heat, he was like, not 1, not 2, not 3, but you know what I mean? He sat up there and he did that. And now all of a sudden he's changing the narrative and saying that it's not, it's not about ring culture. Ring culture is weird. So what do y'all think about that?
Well, he has 4.
Right.
And I say, he said that 15, 16 years ago. Whatever happened to changing your mind? You know what I'm saying? I'm going to take a quote from the famous Mike. Whatever happened to changing your mind? You know what I'm saying? Maybe how he felt 15 years ago is not how he felt now. And even then, he said it. LeBron brought a lot of this on himself, if you ask me. And it's okay to welcome that. It's okay to welcome the comparisons and things like that. He do the chalk toss. Mike, you even said they do the chalk toss, the number 23. I'm chasing the ghost, things like that. So you're almost saying, even if you got 6 rings or more, you still got 6 losses in finals. So it still ain't a fair comparison when you want to talk about wins and losses in the finals when it mattered most. You understand? But you brought that type of criticism, critique, and comparisons on yourself, and now you don't want it anymore because you haven't caught it. So now you don't want, well, I don't want to be compared to him no more. But you started it. You know what I mean? You started the comparison.
I think that when you and LeBron James coming in the league as like 18-year-old kid, right? And so you don't understand like the gravity and like what you up against and what you chasing, right? And so I think that when you start chasing those rings and stuff like that, or even when you start to emulate, and Kobe Bryant went through this, when you start to emulate Michael Jordan, like you say, you get his number, you wear his number, then you do the chalk toss like what he did, like what Mike did. And Kobe Bryant found out the hard way that you don't want to emulate Michael Jordan.
Yeah.
You want to be the best Kobe that you can be. And that's where people come, that's where like the Black Mamba comes into, like people respect more so that version of Kobe Bryant, that Black Mamba, than they did the guy who was emulating Michael Jordan.
I think he did emulate Michael and what he unlocked was the key, right? He figured out, I don't need to emulate his game. I don't need to emulate his marketing. He didn't need to do anything other than emulate his will to win. So because the stories of Kobe are legendary, getting up at 3 a.m. to go work out, right?
Right.
He realized, to your point, Mike, he needed to be the best Kobe that he could be.
Yeah.
And what he did was learn from Michael and Michael's desire and just imposing his will on the game.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And he did it by being himself.
That's
yeah,
facts.
but
That's 100% facts. I agree with that. 100%.
yeah, let me say this though. As you growing up like LeBron did, like Kobe did, you idolize the person that you want to put your game around. And Michael Jordan was that person. Okay. So you see Michael Jordan's hustle, you see how he played, you see how his mind thinking is, and then you saying if he's the great and he's my idol, I need to do that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So first of all, they're gonna, at 18, 19 years old, they're gonna emulate that. Right. And let's not forget, both of them came out of high school, neither one of them went to college. Right. Okay. So they're coming in emulating their heroes, their hero, Michael Jordan. Now, when you get to the point where as though you can say, now I want to be better than him, because that's everybody's intentions now. Let's not forget about the intentions. When we do something, we want to be the best at what we do. Yeah. Okay. So now I'm not going to disrupt my mindset and be like, well, yeah, I'm good, but yeah, Michael Jordan's still better. Like, no, I want to be better than Michael Jordan. And if I got to put that in my mindset and keep saying it to myself every day, that's what I do. Yeah. But what we shouldn't do is try to change the narrative about an athlete trying to be the best that ever did it. And you got to speak it into existence. Yeah. And that's what I think LeBron tried to. He just didn't do it, but he tried to. Like Kobe, he tried to until Kobe found his own lane. Yeah, yeah. Kobe tried to be. Yeah, he tried to be. He found his own lane. And he was good. And I'm gonna tell you one more person that we're not mentioning into this conversation, which I think should never actually talked about it, but he got himself into it. Is Tracy McGrady. Tracy McGrady was on a podcast and he started mentioning how he's not talked about as being one of the greatest basketball players. And he's okay. And exactly. That's my point exactly. He should not be talked about. You're not even in my. First of all, did Tracy McGrady even make a dream team?
No, man. That dude, they get on the first round of playoffs, man. Hey, get out of here, man.
But yet he's talking about how we changed the GOAT narrative because there's only a couple of people that we talk about, but it's a whole bunch of NBA players that should be in that GOAT narrative. No, it's not.
No, I agree, because look at Doc. I think Doc should be mentioned. Doc, you know what I mean? Because Doc only won one NBA championship. You know what I'm saying? He won through in the ABA. But Doc was really that dude, man. Doc was really that dude. But because this ring culture thing that started, Doc get pushed to the side, man. And Doc was him. Doc was whatever pronoun, you know, they into pronouns now. Whatever pronoun you want to use, Doc was it. You know what I'm saying?
See, Doc was nobody don't talk about Doc.
Right.
Because the people that can verify what Doc did is old enough not to give us it anymore or dead. Okay? In the same way, we're talking about Jordan now, 15 to 20 years from now, we might not even be talking about Jordan anymore. Because that's how generation goes.
That's just how generation goes.
You see that when you witness it, you can speak on it. If you don't witness it anymore, like I've been saying, like Chamberlain was a great. You ask somebody about the 60s, 70s, they tell you Chamberlain was the man. Bill Russell was the man. But all those people that can argue that fact are just old enough right now not to give a shit, or they did.
Big O, another one. Jerry West, another one. Big O, another one. Yeah, man, you're right.
So I'm hoping that we can continue the Jordan narrative throughout time. But time kills everything. Nothing lasts. And these kids, that's why LeBron is so talked about, because they're witnessing LeBron's greatness, which is going to eventually push Jordan down. So Jordan's going to be known as the Chamberlain and all that other stuff, because they never seen Jordan play.
I agree.
You're right, man. Yeah.
Wait a minute. Go ahead.
I agree, except for the fact that Jordan then built a media presence and had the backing of an entire shoe company. Yeah.
Hey, fam, let me step out.
Okay. Yeah,
exactly. Which keeps it relevant.
So I think that's going to propel Mike a little bit differently than Doc was propelled.
Yeah. All right. So I want to read this comment though by Kent Carlson, right? So Kent says Reigns, Chips, etc. Are playing. Let me see. Are playing the side of it for sure. having said that, I don't think that anyone in the NBA or the WNBA compares to what Caitlin Clark and her foundation does so much more to the story. And so what I can say about that, like, is as far as like Caitlin Clark, I just think that this generation has learned from like what they witnessed, you know, like with the Jordan era and the LeBron James era, as far as like how to move in these different eras and stuff like that, and use these eras to their benefit, as far as like the social media era and stuff like that. I think that Caitlin Clark and her you know, like the people around her, being at her father and you know she's getting instruction, you know what I mean, and it's obvious that Caitlin Clark is learning or listening to the people who know and giving her those type of instructions. We spoke about like how Caitlin Clark is listening to instruction in a different way than somebody say like Angel Reese, like it's a parent. So yeah, I can agree with that statement by Kent. What's good, Clay?
No, man, I was listening and I heard Tracy McGrady come up. So you know, I was like, and then I seen Tunk drop. So I said, I just felt Tracy McGrady might have been misrepresented a little bit, because he didn't necessarily say he should be getting talked about. He was just pretty much saying, you know, he didn't get the opportunity to play on a team with an organization that was really building a champion, you know. So he was saying that if he got an opportunity to play in some of those organizations, like if you replace him with Kobe, would him and Shaq not win? You know, that was kind of his stance. Yeah, I could appreciate that.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't see all of the interview. I just heard his GOAT part of the interview.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, you know, here again, the GOAT thing is subjective, man. People gonna have who they think the best is. That's subjective, but I'm just glad that people were calling Stephen A. and the media to task a little bit on that subject, because here again, I said this so many times, it's a narrative that the whole general public has bought into. And to me, it's like, you know, one player don't play all 5 positions. And, you know, if I'm on a team and I'm doing everything I can to win and I'm working on my game and I'm developing, but yet the organization's not building a championship team around me, you know, how much can I really do? But does that make me not a great player? You know, so that's the main thing right there, you know. But Tracy didn't say he should be getting talked about. Tracy a humble dude. He a cool dude, you know. But he definitely
no. He said why this is why they're not talking about me as part of being part of the group.
Okay.
You know.
Okay. Yeah.
And like you said, the narrative is to me a great of the GOAT. Okay, does a lot more than just have game. They make people around them better. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Jordan made Pippen better. I don't care what you say. Yeah. If Pippen would have went somewhere else, I don't think we'd be talking about Scottie Pippen as 50 greatest basketball players of all time. Yeah. I think Pippen got there because of what Jordan is.
But let me say
Ginobili
this,
and what's the other guy's name that played in San Antonio with your boy Parker, right? What are you talking about? Them guys that they wasn't playing with what you call?
Let me say this about Scottie, right? And about Jordan making them better, whatever the case may be. The Bulls organization did a great job scouting Scottie. They made that trade at draft, right? But if it's not in Scottie, Michael and nobody else can't pull it out. If it's not in him, it's got to be there.
No, but now come on now.
It's got to be there.
Jordan, listen. If Jordan's getting double teamed, that means Scottie open. Okay. Yep. Scottie is definitely a contributor, and he made himself being one of the top 50 players of all time. No doubt about that. But let's not put the fact that Jordan was there to get Scottie to that point. Jordan hustled. Jordan practices. You know, Jordan mentality.
Yeah. But what I'm saying is this, all right, for a little while, we wasn't sure if Scottie had it in him, because they would get to the playoffs and he get migraines and he get pumped and he couldn't hit open shots and they were failing Michael. But obviously it was in Scottie because at some point it came out. So I'm saying, like, to say a player made another player great. No, I would say a player assisted another player to tap into their own greatness. And he made it a little easier for him to do that.
Isn't that the same thing?
No, it's not. No, it's
Because,
not.
I mean, because if Jordan not there to help Scotty tap into it, who will help him?
Somebody else could have. Never know. He could have played with another.
That's my whole point.
I'm just saying he could have played. He could have played with another superstar, and another superstar draw attention and open the floor up and things of this nature. A coach, you know, it could have been Phil Jackson there, not Michael, and another superstar. They may have been able to pull that out of Scotty, but all I'm saying is it has to be in you. Biology makes you who you are, but then the environment pulls it out of you.
Listen, we can go back to the Tracy McGrady part. Scottie Pippen could have been Tracy McGrady, but if it wasn't for Jordan, he wouldn't be on the top 50 of greatest of all time. Let's be honest with that. You know what I'm saying? There's a lot of great players that didn't have help and motivation to become better.
Well, it's easy for us to say that because he played with Mike. But what I'm saying is, I can't say that for sure, because if he played with another superstar and still had Phil Jackson as a coach, he could have still became that because it was in him to do it.
But let me say this: there are a select few guys that play in the NBA who can do that. Like Larry Bird did that. Like everybody benefited. If you're a Boston Celtic, you benefited from playing with Larry Bird. Right? And like you say, Clay, you still got to be able to, like Danny Ainge still need to be able to knock those shots down when Larry Bird, you know, draw a double team. Or when you play with Magic Johnson, you still need to be able to, you know, like those guys. But everybody can't be a Larry Bird, a Magic Johnson, or Michael Jordan. You know what I mean? And you still have to work hard. So when you get into a position that you playing with somebody like Larry Bird, you better be able to perform, or you will not. You know what I mean?
So let me ask you a question. Out of all those names that you name one of those superstars that had another top 50 player and that played with them.
Larry Bird.
Now, who else played with Larry Bird that's in the top 50? I'm saying that who played with those guys that was in the top 50?
Did Kevin McHale make top 50?
He didn't make top 50. Kevin McHale?
Kevin McHale. I thought he made top 50. Kevin McHale.
Yes. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Magic and Kareem. They weren't top 50.
No. Kareem was there before Magic.
I'm just saying. You were saying
Kareem had already won the rings before Magic got there.
I understand that. We were saying that it was another superstar that played with another top 50 player.
I'm talking about that made them. Okay, I see what you guys say. Okay, but what I'm saying is this: Scottie Pippen had two opportunities. He could have been a Tracy McGrady, or he could have been a top 50, 100 players of all time. He ended up being a top 100 players of all time because of the fact that he helped build that Michael Jordan brand.
Yeah, no doubt.
That's true.
That's what I'm saying. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Because that environment didn't pull it out of him.
Yeah. So let me say,
but I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't frame that statement in such a way that it made Scotty look like he was riding any coattails.
So let me ask you a question. When Jordan left, did Scotty win anything after?
I'm just saying.
And that Phoenix team he was on was loaded with superstars. They were old superstars.
You take Pippen out.
I mean, not Phoenix, but Portland.
You take Pippen out, and you put a scrub in there. Maybe they don't win 6 championships.
Right.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. It wasn't that Pippen was the guy that made them win 6 championships. But if you take that piece out, I think it's a completely different conversation.
Well, like I said, and let's remember, Jordan didn't win anything until Pippen got there.
Yeah.
So it's a hand-in-hand situation.
Oh yeah, no doubt. That's I can agree with this. But look, let me just say this. I was listening to what was the guy name? George Lynch played at when George Lynch. He said when he got drafted and he went to, I think it was Charlotte Hornets, right? The off seasons they used to go back to North Carolina and play. Michael Jordan would put intramural basketball players on his team and JV basketball players and play against dudes who start, you know what I mean? Dudes who started for North Carolina and some of the guys and win and beat those guys, man. So I just wonder, that's just crazy.
Yeah. And the thing about that was, like, nobody can beat a team by themselves, but Mike was the closest thing to that. So when he got those guys around him, nobody on the opposing team can stop him. So he's really taking up the scoring load. He's really imposing his will over it. It's not like those other guys he raised their level. He just took up the load.
Let's not forget.
Mike could score and volume. Yeah.
Let's not forget though what Magic did his rookie year. Kareem goes down in the championship game, and Magic takes over, and he wins that. So let's not forget about what Magic did now.
Oh yeah, Magic is a bad boy. Ain't no doubt about that.
Yeah, he was like, yo, Kareem goes down. He like, look, I'll play center. I'm going to play center. Yeah. Show me the sky hook, and let's roll. Let's win this.
Yes.
Let me ask y'all this, right? This GOAT debate that's going on between Michael Jordan and LeBron, right? For us, it's water cooler conversation. It's barbershop type conversation, right? Yeah. But like, I want you, like, what do y'all think? Like, what do this conversation mean for them, for like Mike and LeBron? Like, what do you think like the impact is for those guys?
I'm gonna say this to you guys. It don't mean shit to Mike.
You don't think
I'm gonna be honest with you. It means nothing to Michael Jordan at all.
100%.
And I think LeBron is starting to evolve to a place
it ain't gonna mean nothing to him.
It ain't gonna mean nothing to him.
You don't think
it
so?
Means more to media, content creators, and stuff like that, newspapers, magazines. It means more to them because it's a cash thing. It's a cash grab for these guys. But I think it might still. I think right now LeBron is really trying to come down off that hill a little bit. And I think he feels like, okay, failed attempt. He's also waking up to some stuff. He's maturing a little bit. But yeah, he's trying to justify falling short of what he was chasing after. And he's trying to rewrite a narrative for himself. I get it. But I think at some point, it ain't going to mean shit to him either. I mean, when you reflect back on the career that you've had, if I'm LeBron, what is there? So what? You're not the greatest of all time. You cemented in the laws of NBA history. You know, that's great.
Listen, LeBron is at another level right now.
Absolutely.
Let's not forget he's trying to buy the NBA team for Vegas.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's not forget he's at a whole nother level. He owns an entertainment company. That's why he moved to LA. Okay, so now the conversation of basketball he's starting to move away from because he doesn't need the conversation anymore.
Yeah.
He doesn't need to be known as the GOAT anymore. Yep. If his legacy if you don't think he's the GOAT because of his legacy, ain't nothing he can do about it now.
Yeah.
So why battle? Why debate the situation?
I'm happy. If I'm LeBron, I'm happy to be on the Mount Rushmore anyways.
Exactly. Right.
All right. So let me pose this to y'all, right? Because LeBron James' NBA career is winding down. Michael Jordan is no longer in the league. So I think that like this potential GOAT debate represents big money for both of these guys moving forward. That's what I think it is. Like when it comes to like Nike and sponsorships and stuff like that, you can't have two GOATs. Like if I'm Nike, like why do I need to have two basketball GOATs when I have one guy, either one of these guys is going to be the cash cow and the other guy is not going to be the cash cow?
No, that's something, but no, Mike, that's wrong. Both of them can be the cash cow.
No,
why can't both of them be the cash cow?
Explain to me how. Go ahead. How?
Because one represents a past generation and one represents the present generation. Yeah. Okay, right. Just like I said it before, Jordan hasn't made a shoe in 10 years, a new shoe. Right. What they do is they just re-release all his other shoes in different colors. Okay, LeBron represents the new technology and the new players and the new marketing scheme. You can have the same reason Converse in the 70s, I mean in the early 80s, when they had all the basketball NBA superstars and their colors of the team represented the shoe. Okay, you can have a representative from every team for every color. It's not going to diminish the brand at all. What it does is it just move the needle for you to have as many superstars as you have representing your brand. So if you got Jordan and LeBron representing your brand, and they talking about both of these guys as being the GOATs, and there's no determination, Nike wins.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They win.
So, but
Nike ain't dropping neither one of them from their contract ever. They both have their own fan base, so that's why they sign players based on the fan base.
All right. So let me push back on that. So you say they both have their own fan base, right? And so my pushback on that would be like, all right, so Michael Jordan, people who buy Michael Jordan's his sneakers buy a lot out of nostalgia, right? People who remember like what Michael Jordan, like watching him and
absolutely
so
not.
It's almost like,
Mike, let me tell you this.
I let you talk.
You're wrong about that. Go ahead. But you're wrong about that.
Go ahead. No,
you're wrong about that because who's buying the Nike the Jordans right now? The 20-year-olds, the 19-year-olds. They've never seen Jordan play.
I'm glad you said that. All right,
they've never seen Jordan play.
All right, so you not only do you have people buying it out of a nostalgic, like people like myself, and now you have a younger generation who is buying it. So my question again is, you got younger people buying because I don't know why younger people buy Jordans, but older people buying it because out of nostalgia. So why still do you need two GOATs? If both of them, if you can accomplish that with just one person serving the whole family.
You can't, because Jordan hasn't designed a new shoe in like 20 years.
You don't need to.
What I'm saying is, okay, so when Nike brings new technology out, which they have to do to keep innovating themselves, who do you want to market that with? Somebody that's from the past or somebody from the present and the future? I don't want to market a new technology in a tennis shoe and say Jordan likes it if Jordan doesn't step on a court anymore.
If Nike does the research, and I know they have, and they come up with the conclusion that they can only do it with one or the other, they're going to figure out which one's going to do it and get them the most money. But I can guarantee you they've done the research, and they know if we keep both of these guys, we're going to have the biggest reach and make the most money.
Yeah.
And I'm going to tell you this. They're going to keep the Durants too. The Durants ain't going nowhere.
Mike, I don't think Nike is building their brand and selling shoes based on needing a GOAT. When they first signed Michael, it wasn't about him being the greatest of all time. It was about him walking on air, his charisma. He captivated your imagination. Right. And they also needed a basketball player for their shoe because they wasn't in the basketball market yet. There was a running shoe. So that's why they signed Mike, and they wanted Mike, and Mike moved the needle. They signed LeBron because LeBron was the next big thing. He had a fan base. I don't think Nike is concerned or in the business of which one is the GOAT. I don't think they in that business. They just in that business of tapping into these guys' fan bases and selling shoes and selling merch, and they're doing a great job.
I agree with you on that, right? And so let me say this. I can see a scenario because of what you just said. I can see a scenario where Nike can step away from Mike and LeBron and still be successful.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
But let me ask you a question. Let me ask you a question though. Can you name the successful time in Nike where they didn't have Jordan? That's the key that you want to get to. Nike was not successful until they got Jordan.
But it was running.
Yeah. Okay, so you got to understand this. For Nike to step away from the person that built that kingdom, it will be kind of hard for Nike.
This is the thing with Nike. When Nike first came out, Nike is not even called Nike. It's the real name of Nike is Nike. You know what I mean? So when it was a running shoe. So when it first came out, like people pronounced the name wrong, but it's Nike, and people were like, "Oh, you have Nikes," and so that's why the name, like Nikes. That's why it.
It was Nike, yeah.
Right, it's Nike, and people say, "Oh, you got those Nike shoes," right? But the thing is, though, the work has been done as far as like building a brand. Michael Jordan had campaigns. And Michael Jordan campaigns helped that brand to grow, right, to what the brand is now. So now the brand is so big now, is they don't really need campaigns anymore. So it's more so to the point of like brand recognition and to keep that name.
I'm gonna share something with you guys.
Go ahead.
I'm gonna share something with you guys. You right, Mike. They can walk away from both them guys. Guess why? They got another cash cow, Ponytail Pete. Watch when her shoe drop.
Well, hey, they keep pushing her shoe back, though. I wonder what's going on with that.
That's because they're gonna come out with something specific. Trust me. They doing the right thing. They building the anticipation for this shoe. That girl is getting ready to take them to another level. Trust me.
Let me tell you, Nike is not letting Michael Jordan go.
No,
when Michael Jordan wanted to leave and he wanted to leave, Nike said, "No, don't leave. We will give you your own shoe brand and let us distribute it." AKA Jumpman. Okay. So Nike, I don't give a shit what Nike thinks how powerful they are. Without the retro Jordan selling out every time they release the shoe, you know what I'm saying? Nike is just like everybody else. Jordan puts Nike brand over top of everybody.
Yeah.
Okay. When it comes to marketing, when it comes to sales, and they don't want to lose that. You don't want to lose that.
Yeah.
My brother made a good point, right? When you first asked, he said, "What's good?
All's good."
He said that when man said about before Mike, the success of Nike, but he made a good point that they was extremely successful as a running shoe. Mm-hmm. They were extremely successful as a running shoe.
No, but Nike was going out of business. Nike was going out of business. If you look at that Nike movie, Nike was going out of business. That's why they tried so hard to sign Jordan.
They were struggling, but they weren't going out of business. They were struggling.
Well, I'm telling you what the movie said.
I know, I got you, but I'm watching the movie and you get the narratives of the movie and you understand what's going on. They weren't going out of business anywhere. That was the best thing they could have done, was sign him with money they didn't have because they saw something going forward.
However, they were the fourth largest tennis shoemaker.
Wait a minute.
Exactly. They were behind Adidas, they were behind Converse because they had all the basketball shoes. Yeah. But now they started the running thing. So now they were getting to a different market. Now getting to a different market, it took off. They also made a big jump when they got into the tennis shoes and the cross trainers. Yeah. All those things jumped out at the same time. Yeah. So they hit a lot of things at the same time, which was very
but they were still a struggling organization before Jordan.
Struggling. So right now Under Armour is struggling, right? Under Armour is struggling. Under Armour stock makes it look like Under Armour is struggling. Right, but Under Armour's the Under Armour is struggling. If you look at their stock right now, you can get their stock for like $12 or some shit. But it was up to like 50 or 60. But now it's right. Yeah, but now they're struggling. However, when October comes and you're looking at all the college football and you see Notre Dame and everybody else's uniform, they ain't struggling.
No. So you get mixed up with that. Under Armour donates that stuff. Those colleges don't buy that.
They ain't donating shit.
Those colleges don't buy that.
Hey,
those colleges don't buy that.
As a matter of fact, I was just there talking to the dude the other day. They're not donating that shit. They listen. I know that. They out to get new schools all the time. They're not donating all that shit.
No, they don't. Under Armour donates that stuff.
Hey man, hold on. I want to hear what Ray say for real quick.
They donate to high schools. They donate to they donate to Maryland. But a lot of those other colleges are buying. Notre Dame is buying. Notre Dame's on the field with that on the biggest college out there. Notre Dame is bringing in so much money for them because of what they're doing. They're not donating all that stuff.
But
I was down there a month ago. Seen the new Maryland uniform, seen the new Notre Dame uniform, seen the new turf.
I'm gonna say this. I don't know nothing about Notre Dame because I haven't been to Notre Dame. But I know I know Maryland gets their uniforms donated. Okay, I know most of high schools from Under Armour in the Maryland area gets their uniforms donated.
Okay.
And what that does is it brings brand recognition to Under Armour because Nike's in the same game.
You brought enough
Reebok's in the same game.
Sorry about that, fellas.
So what that does, that brings the recognition.
So you brought enough chairs for me, you, and
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, that brings the recognition to the teams. That's why they donate all the time.
Yeah.
The only people that pay for their uniforms is the NFL. They pay for those uniforms. But then you look at the NFL, they're sponsored by everybody.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Look at the NBA. They started to put logos on the back of the jerseys now. I mean, people's stuff on the back of the jerseys.
Yeah. I think that just like Whoosh says that Whoosh News says that Adidas was still bigger back then, you know what I mean? And it's hard
they were.
That even you know, like Nike even had a chance. How big Adidas was.
And Converse had everybody.
Yeah. Well, Converse had Magic Johnson and Larry Bird at one time.
And Isaiah Thomas and Albert what's my man from New York Knicks?
Bernard King.
And they had everybody. Yeah, remember they all did that commercial together?
Yeah.
Except they didn't have Run DMC.
Yeah, that was Adidas.
Hey, we got to pay for parking? No, I'm messing with you, man.
I'm having to go all the way down to the end. It should be like
I just think that.
All right. Hello.
Yeah.
Should have bought that big one. Yeah.
All I know is I'm sure man didn't trust what Hollywood says as gospel.
Yeah, man. Let's not quote Hollywood for real.
Yeah.
I just think that like my point earlier, I just think that this GOAT conversation for Michael Jordan and LeBron James is a little bit bigger than what we think it is, as far as like these water cooler type conversations that we have with them. I just think there's a lot of money on the line with these with this GOAT conversation. And the reason why I'm saying that is because LeBron James is doing all these podcasts. Michael Jordan is coming back to NBC. So you know, I just don't think I think it's more to it than that.
Yeah, I agree with you, but I don't think it's. Go ahead, man.
I'm going to say it's called Life After Basketball.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Life After Basketball.
I think it's more a cash grab for the media, though. But you're right, Mike. It's bigger than just the water cooler talk. But it's a cash grab for media, man. They ain't letting that go. Hey, y'all. How y'all doing? What's up, sweet?
How are you?
I mean, bringing Michael Jordan back makes us talk about Michael Jordan coming back.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
You know, that's what it does. It's doing. What they hope for it to do is doing exactly what they needed to do.
All this stuff up.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah. And like I said, I just think that if Nike wanted to, because of the work that those guys have put in to help build and grow the brand, I think they could step away from both of them.
Yeah, they definitely can.
They can, but the question is, why would you?
Yeah,
you got Jordan signed to a lifetime contract. You got LeBron. Now, what you do if they do step away, you risk the fact that someone like Adidas or something like that, signing these guys and putting out shoes for these guys.
Yeah.
So now you don't want to alienate those LeBron lovers or the Jordan lovers and send them somewhere else. You just don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Like I can guarantee you, KD's shoe ain't going nowhere.
No.
They're gonna keep KD's shoe. You know, Under Armour is gonna do their best to keep Steph Curry, and because they need those spokespersons, even if they leave. Right now, you need somebody to sign off on your shoes. That's what drives the market right now.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what a Jordan looks like. If it has Jordan name on in front of it, everybody's gonna want to look at it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying? So it doesn't matter what Jordan. You can say, I'm bringing out a new tennis shoe. People be like, oh, okay. But you go, I'm bringing out a new Jordan. Then everybody's on the internet to see what it looks like.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I'm saying? So that's what they need.
Yeah.
I'm probably going to get with y'all tomorrow, but just remember, Nike is in great hands. CC, C squared. Ponytail Pete. Stay tuned.
Yeah.
I'll holler at y'all, man.
All right,
Great conversation.
We'll see you
Enjoy.
tomorrow.
I'll see you guys tomorrow.
Enjoy.
Yeah.
All
Hey,
right.
I'm looking forward to those Caitlin Clark shoes because I want to see what they're gonna look like.
They're coming out soon, aren't they?
Huh?
When are they supposed to drop?
I don't. They keep pushing the date back. I don't know. I gotta look it up, but I know they.
If I'm not mistaken, and this is what I hope they do, I hope they drop it during the All-Star game.
Oh, that'll be.
That's
cool.
what I hope they do.
That'll be cool.
Now that'd be marketing genius right there.
Yeah,
she goes to the All-Star game and wears them in the All-Star game.
Oh yeah,
and that's when you get your first look at them in the All-Star game.
Oh,
so that would be marketed. But we're talking about the WNBA, so who knows if they're going to hook up with Nike?
Nike's smart. Nike's
smart.
Yeah. They can.
Yeah. So that would be a great time to drop her shoes.
Make her wear, let her wear them during the All-Star game, and then drop the commercial for it all at the same time.
Yeah,
that'll be big for the for Nike and the WNBA. I mean, that's a win-win for everybody.
Exactly, because sneakerheads are going to want to watch it to see what the shoe looks like. So if you drop it during halftime or something, you got people watching the first quarter because they want to see what it looks like on her feet.
You sure you don't work for Nike? Because that's a good idea.
I wish I did, but no, unfortunately, I'm working on our podcast, so but I'm still loving it.
Hey, what about Asia Wilson? Like, I haven't seen her shoes is already out though, but I just I gotta look up and see what her shoes look like too.
I don't think they're marketing her shoes as well as they're going to market Caitlin Clark shoes. I think the marketing budget is a little bit cheaper.
I was at the outlets last weekend and I did see a lot of posters and stuff with Asia Wilson up there. So they're marketing her, but to the extent that what they think the demand is for Asia Wilson, for her sneaker shoes. But I seen plenty of posters out as far as with Asia Wilson. Last week when I was at the outlet. So
and two, you might not want to drop the Caitlin Clark depending on how her shoe is selling.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because as soon as you drop her shoe, anybody else that's out there, shoe's going to take a dive.
Yeah.
So they might be saying let's get all the money that we can from the Asia Wilson shoe and her brand, and then we drop the Caitlin Clark brand.
It's like when you got an album, you don't want your album to come out the same time Drake album come out, right?
Right, exactly. You want to sit back and wait a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
So there's a lot of things that go on with the marketing, especially when you go to the shoe companies and all that other stuff. It's a lot of things going on.
Yeah, you're right about that. All right, man. So we talked about the WNBA. We talked about LeBron James and ring culture, man. Y'all got anything else on the docket that y'all wanted to cover? Now this dude?
Hey, J-Mac, how do you feel about those Florida Panthers winning it all?
I thought it was kind of a lopsided series. I thought Edmonton would put up more of a fight. So I mean, it's back-to-back wins for the Panthers, back-to-back losses for the Oilers, and 33 years since a Canadian team has won the Stanley Cup.
So is it a good? How do you think the nature of the NHL is now that these warm weather teams are just destroying the Canadian brand itself?
It's weird because all the Canadians, Canadians make up it used to be 60-70% of the league. Now I think it's about 45% of the league, or close to 50% of the league. But they love playing in the warm weather places.
Oh yeah,
they love it. The Canadians love going down, and man, if you grew up in Canada and you played hockey year round, and you make it to the pros, who wouldn't want to go sit in Miami, play hockey, the game you love, and then walk outside and live your life in Miami?
Spend all that money.
Yeah.
So
do you think it's good for the NHL that Canada hasn't won championship in what, 33 years? You said?
Yeah, 33 years. I think it's an interesting talking point, and I think it puts a lot of pressure on the Canadian teams. Yeah, I don't know that it hurts or helps, but it's a talking point, and so it's definitely the thing that the hockey sports writers and the hockey podcasts and all those guys, it's just more fodder for them to talk about.
Yeah. Do you think now that it's so lopsided, you think some of these Canadian franchises will move to the US?
No, I don't see that happening. I just think it just increases the pressure, and it makes it that much that, I mean, we talked about it a month or so ago about how I predicted how Toronto was going to flame out again, right? Because they haven't made it to the Stanley Cup in decades and decades and decades, and they haven't won one in forever, since the 70s, I think, 70s or 80s. So I think it's just it's that culture thing that teams and fan bases then, start to talk about. It's like, as a Cowboys fan, it's you're
I knew you were gonna say it. I knew you were gonna say it.
I knew that was coming too.
I knew it was coming.
I'm a Vikings fan, man. I don't even have one.
Yeah.
I don't even have one, brother. So
yeah.
it's that thing. I get it, because we talk about it all the time about what are our chances this year.
Yeah. All right.
And it's just fodder for the sports talk.
Right. All right.
So let me ask you. Go ahead, Mike. I'm sorry. I was going to ask him. With the draft coming up, what do you see going forward? You think Panthers can three-peat like the Bulls?
I think that's definitely going to be the talk, and I think they're going to be the favorites for sure.
Yeah.
Now, so but what makes them so good? I mean, from what I hear, I'm not a big hockey fan, but they don't have those names that stick out to everybody.
That was the weird thing, and that's why people thought Edmonton might be able to pull it off, right, with that kid McDavid and some of the snipers they got. But it's just a team that it's kind of a hard hat team, and they're fast, and they hit hard. They play from one end to the other. They play both ways. I mean, their checking line hits hard. I mean, it's just a really complete team, right? And even their weaknesses, which is their power play offense, they actually, just for whatever reason, they did a good job in the playoffs.
Yeah. All right. So Kent Carlson, appreciate the super chat. And Kent says, before you gentlemen go, your thoughts as to what seems a concerted effort to actually hurt Caitlin Clark, or am I wrong? Right. So I don't know. We could just take turns. Like, do you all think there's a concerted effort to hurt Caitlin Clark?
I think there's. We talked about it last year. I think there are players who dislike the attention that she's getting. She's coming in with all the high expectations and all the eyeballs, and she's bringing a whole new set of fans. And I think there's just some bitterness, because that there is a valid point to be made of why aren't the eyeballs here already? Because there's a good product. There's a lot of reasons. We talked about it before, man. I know you don't like the way it's marketed and the way they fumbled some of the stuff there. Whatever the reason, the eyeballs weren't there, and now the eyeballs are because of this one person.
Yeah.
And I think there's some resentment that people want for. I don't know if it's intentional to hurt her, but they definitely want to humble her or try to humble her. And then when they can't, and it's frustrating, it gets chippy. Shit happens.
Hey, I hate to bring this up, but I got to. It's called riding the coattails. Michael Jordan went through the same situation. You know what I'm saying? When Michael Jordan got hot, there were players in the NBA that was like, who is this guy? This guy isn't that good. Y'all don't need to be watching him because you should be watching me. And prime example, Isaiah Thomas, the animosity he carried towards Jordan was crazy. Mm-hmm. But people got to understand and sometimes realize that whatever helps the business helps you in the long run. And sometimes people just don't like riding coattails. You know what I'm saying? And right now, every player in the WNBA is riding Caitlin Clark's coattail. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? As she walks, they walk behind her. There's nobody in the WNBA walking beside her right now, and there's nobody walking in front of her. She didn't even win a championship, and she's still leading the pack. You know what I'm saying? So all that animosity is building up because these is some people that just can't understand what somebody can bring to an organization or a league, and it's not them.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying.
And to your point, man, their ego won't let them understand the logic of, hey, I could be getting my ends a little bit better if if I helped this.
Right. Instead of embracing Caitlin Clark and saying, okay, cool. I'm in my city, Caitlin Clark. When you come to my city, I'm gonna play defense on you, man. You're gonna go at it. Instead of having that attitude, embracing what Caitlin Clark brings, you don't want to downgrade the fact that Caitlin Clark is here, but I was already here doing what you're doing. So why don't you see me? Well, obviously you wasn't because he didn't see you. You know what I'm saying? So let's look at the obvious point that's going on. Whatever these women thinking in the WNBA and who they thought they were, you wasn't. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Let's just get it straight. You wasn't.
Right. Yeah,
you wasn't. Hit the reality mark and just go with it, ride the coattails. Because if Caitlin Clark came to my city, like I said, she came to my city, I'm embracing Caitlin Clark. Bring her on, come into my arena. You and me gonna play one-on-one. One of us is gonna win, one of us is gonna lose. But we're gonna give it our effort every time we play. And
now what do you think about this though? What do you think about this? All right, so you got the young ladies, there is like some animosity and they're playing her physical and stuff like that, right? So for the young ladies who are playing against Caitlin Clark, there, in my opinion, and let me know what y'all think, I don't think there's really any incentive for the individual players in the league to protect Caitlin Clark, and this is the reason why I say that. When like Caitlin Clark basically is going through the WNBA and doing a tour, right? So when Caitlin Clark is in your city, your team, the attendance is up, y'all make money. But when Caitlin Clark leaves, then the attendance go back to what it was, right? So beyond that, there's no incentive for you to protect her, because other than that, you're not making any money. No. When you look at it from a WNBA standpoint, right? The WNBA, like from a league standpoint, the league is in a catch-22 because they know that if Caitlin Clark don't play, ratings go down. But if they protect her the way that they, like a lot of people think that they should, then that's going to affect the ratings also. So the WNBA is almost like they caught in the middle. Plus, they benefiting from all the drama around, like beating Caitlin Clark up, poking her eyes and stuff like that. So the WNBA, I think, is in a catch-22 type. And that's why they're not really legislating this out the same way they did with Michael Jordan.
But see, you got to look at it this way, though. I mean, if the situation is this. Yes, Caitlin Clark comes to your town. Yes, she sells out your arena, and then she goes home. The important part of what that matchup does to you, if you win and you dominate Caitlin Clark, you know what I'm saying? That makes you as a player look better. You know what I'm saying? Because now you can sit there like the same situation with Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan didn't win every game. He didn't win every matchup. And when somebody dominated Michael Jordan, they told you about it. You know, they let you know, like, look, I played Mike and I dominated him on my, you know, I did a triple-double on Mike. They let you know because Mike was the key point. If you keep Caitlin Clark as the key point, which I'm sure she will be, and you build off of that key point, then the WNBA wins. every player wins, because now if I'm like, let's say if I'm Angel Reese, and the next 3 games I play against Caitlin Clark, I dominate Caitlin Clark, dominate her. Okay, that brings my stock up so much higher now, because now everybody will be watching to see what I do against Caitlin Clark next, but then they're going to see if I can be consistent with my gameplay that I played against Caitlin Clark. So that brings up everything. You trying to beat her down and injure her and all that other stuff is non-productive for everybody.
I just think that with Caitlin Clark, like I said, what happened when Caitlin Clark went out, when she missed those 4 or 5 games, and then she come back and the ratings go right back up, that's not something that the WNBA can grow with on a consistent basis. You need, like, the WNBA need like rivalries and big games like in other spots besides Caitlin Clark. How many games do the WNBA play a year? Like, how many?
I thought it was like 30, 40 something games.
40.
All right, so if they play 40 games and Caitlin Clark is, she sell out in every arena, they need more than 40 sellouts though.
But see,
they lost $40 million. They lost $40 million last year.
Yeah, but
with her in the league.
That's what I was talking about, management of the WNBA. The WNBA, rather you talk about Caitlin Clark all day long than marketing other teams and other players, okay? And that's where the WNBA falls short, and not the players. You know what I'm saying? The WNBA does not marketing. When you put Caitlin Clark on 38 of the 40-plus games that you're playing, you're telling the world that we want you to watch Caitlin Clark. That's it.
All right, but thanks. Kent said 44 games. 44.
Yeah, so and Caitlin Clark is playing 38 national televised games.
Yeah,
that's crazy. That's a WNBA thing. That has nothing to do with players.
Yeah,
but the fallout is those other players then have that animosity of like, what the hell? What are we, top liver? And who do they try to take it out on?
So it's a catch-22 for the WNBA, because when she's not there, ratings go down. So,
well, that's a catch-22 of their own making, though.
Yeah.
Right. But because they had an opportunity to say, hey, we've got all these new eyes. Let's try to spread it out a little. Even if they did give Caitlin a good chunk of those nationally televised games, spread it out. Don't just make it the one-person show.
Would this help the situation? Eastside Legend says that the WNBA needs to do exactly what the NBA did with freedom of movement.
Hell yes. 100%.
Well, see, they got to remember too. Now the WNBA, their model now is, let's look at the future before we predict the present. Okay, so I'm sure they're looking at Juju next year and trying to figure out how to marketing Juju instead of taking their players they got now and doing marketing campaigns around the players they got now. I guarantee you, somebody's in the WNBA. Juju's coming. What do we do? And they're just looking at, okay, if she goes here, what's the possibilities? Let's get the marketing campaign around Juju, and then we have Caitlin and Juju. But you have stars already in the league. You're not even marketing that champion. I forgot who that champions were last year.
Liberty.
Yeah, because but look, that's what I'm saying. How they're marketing the Liberty, they're the champions. And they only lost one game so far?
Two
games.
And the Lynx, I think the Lynx lost 2, and I think the Liberty lost 2 or 1.
Yeah, so that's what I'm talking about. It's and I said it, and I'm gonna keep saying it. The WNBA has a habit of fumbling everything they do. And they've been doing it for the last 30 years or so. They've been fumbling every superstar they get. They've been fumbling every opportunity they get. And this is only another example of something that they can fumble if they don't process it right.
I do think it'll be better for the league if they just allow like freedom of movement, like what Eastside said. But because you don't want to go to like that 80s era where they had that like when they was beating up on Michael Jordan and clothesline and Kurt Rambis and stuff like that. So you don't want to go back to that.
Yeah, but it's just the WNBA, like I said, I think the WNBA is now looking for Juju to come in next year, and we can't wait for that. You know what I'm
think they
saying?
got
So
a lot. I like the development. Like I said, I like Asia Wilson. I like Nafisa Kalia. They got some talent in there. They got Kalia Copper. So they need to find, like you said, man, they need to find a way to garner up some interest in all of those other girls, all those other women in the league who can just straight out ball. You know what I mean? And then have their individual teams going back and forth with each other and Caitlin Clark and stuff like that.
Hey, well, my tablet's grayed out, guys, so I apologize if I just blank out. But yes, Mike, you're absolutely right. And then let me ask you a question, Mike. The reason you know about those other players is because you watch the WNBA. What about those guys that only watch certain things on the WNBA? You know, that's who they need to be marketing to. Those people that watch only because you told them to watch because Caitlin Clark is there.
That's her base, though. You know, and you saw a 55% spike, man, when she came back. So that's her base. Yeah. Juju is, that's true. Jesse, Juju is only she a junior, won't be in the league for 2 years.
No. They're gonna change that.
They not
when this collective bargaining agreement goes through this year, they're gonna change that.
I think that's goofy anyway. That
they're gonna change it. I'm gonna tell you, they're gonna change that.
Yeah.
That's gonna be part of the change.
You're right. They've been talking about that aspect of it, and Juju would be the catalyst for making that change.
Yep.
Yeah.
But with that NIL money, you don't know if people will be that interested in making the jump.
Well, see, that's why they gotta open the opportunity, though. That's why they have to open the opportunity.
Why?
Yeah, because of the NIL money. But because the WNBA can't afford to have stars sitting that long in college and then try to transition to the NBA. They can't afford to do that because they're on that roller coaster right now.
Well, you know what they need to do? They need to get them more money then.
Exactly. That's what they need to do. Yeah. They can't. Let me tell you, if they let Juju sit for another 2 years, okay, they can see themselves fall and not marketing everybody right. Because sooner or later we're gonna get oversaturated with Caitlin Clark. Let's just be honest. We're gonna get oversaturated with that. And people are gonna people won't start to tune in because they can see Caitlin Clark tomorrow, or they can see Caitlin Clark another week from now. So why do I tune into this game? They need to keep having that influx of these players coming in that everybody's excited about. If Juju takes 2 years, it's another fumble for the WNBA.
But they need to get her in there this year. Players that's coming in the next draft, though, right? I mean, Juju not carrying the weight for the whole WNBA.
No. But Juju's the most exciting prospect right now.
She's got the most juice.
Yes, she's the most exciting prospect. So that's what they need. They need that internet young influence to keep flowing, keep the tap moving.
Yeah. And so Jesse said it should be changed. Antitrust lawsuits that would that was changed the men's sports. Yeah. So, you definitely got to change it. And then Eastside Legend said I think these WNBA owners know that Juju will be available next year. I think teams is already tanking for Juju.
Yep, I agree with them. Eastside Legend, I agree.
Man,
they know what they're going to change with that collective bargaining agreement. They know exactly what they're going to do.
Quarterback from South Carolina, he turned down an NIL deal, I think, for $7 million. Cox, did y'all hear about that?
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, I remember that. And
so $7 million instead.
What Moni Drone for Life says, where is the excitement for Paige? I think Paige is doing good. I think there's excitement for Paige. I think Paige is going to develop into a really good professional basketball player. I just like Paige's game. She's just smooth. You know what I mean? And she can do everything as far as inside out. Then she can shoot the three, mid-range. I like Paige's game.
I gotta look that up. How is Dallas doing this year?
I think they only have 2 or 3 wins though.
They're last place in the Western.
Yeah, but I think it is some excitement though when it comes to Paige. Yeah. Oh man. Just he can ready to start he can ready to start some controversy. He talk about Lord of Rims. I brought up lowering the rims to my daughter and some of her friends, man. I almost got ran out of town, Jack. I don't even want to.
You definitely don't want to do that.
Yeah, I don't know. That's a number. But look, I want to let y'all know like the conversation for tomorrow, because I want y'all to think about this, right? I heard a discussion with on Fox, and they were talking about Cooper Flag, right? Is Cooper Flag like he in between Larry Bird and who was the other at the other, and Christian Laettner? And they said he fall in between those two players, and some people said that he's closer to Larry Bird, which I think like those people.
That gap is the Grand Canyon, man. The distance between them two players is the gap.
Thank you. I was going to say, how did you end up both between those two players?
But you know,
like you got an NBA Hall of Famer great, and you got Christian Laettner that only won a championship in college.
Now, everybody falls in between them two.
I thought that was
hey, Mike, your game falls in between them two.
No.
Laugh at me. I'm trying to figure out what those two have in common, and it's not coming to me yet.
Right.
You know.
Right. Yeah, you're right, Jim. And I was like, and that's the thing. But some other names came up. Some people did compare Cooper Flag to like Grant Hill, and some other names. And I got the audio. I want y'all to listen to the audio like when we come back on tomorrow. And I thought it was an interesting conversation. You're right.
Now, Grant Hill, I can take, because Grant Hill, before he got hurt, Grant Hill was putting up some numbers.
Yeah.
Before he got hurt, he was putting up some numbers.
But yeah, you're right though, Jim. Every time like a white guy can play basketball, it's like, they automatically get compared to Larry Bird. Larry Bird, everybody, he wasn't just
Larry and I have in common.
He's just a great basketball player, basically. You know what I mean? I'll start another argument.
But you know what? Hey, let me be honest with you. There's been some great white basketball players, but in my generation, Larry Bird is the best.
Well, Larry Bird, in my opinion, he like top 2, top 3 all time.
Right? Yeah.
Like, you know,
the other day I was watching something on his last season, right? Yeah. Right before he went to the Dream Team, and it showed the that series with the Pacers, with when he was going up against Person.
Chuck Person.
Yeah. And when he went down in that game 4, when he got the concussion, and he hit the floor. I mean, everyone was talking about his bad back, and he only played the last 5 weeks of the season, and all this kind of stuff. And he went down when they were up, and went back into the locker room, and then all of a sudden, Chuck Persons comes back and just he couldn't miss, and all that, and then all of a sudden, in the Garden, they're losing, and who comes out of the tunnel but Larry
Legend,
and they ended up winning by 13. I mean that's just back to the Larry Legend. Mystique.
No doubt. So
you want me to tell you something funny about that situation? When I was a kid, there was a video game called Larry Bird versus Dr. J.
I remember that.
Commodore 64.
Yes.
And I would use Larry Bird every single time. And my friends used to get on me so bad. Why would you use Dr. J? I'm using Larry Bird. You can use Dr. J. I'm going to use Larry Bird.
Yeah, I remember that game. But yeah, I want to, tomorrow when we come on at 11 a.m., man, I want to talk about, like, where do y'all think, like, Cooper Flag, like, what do you think, like, what your projections is as far as his career at the next level? But it is funny, though, every time, if you white, they were like, yeah, man, you know, when
it's crazy. I'm gonna tell you something crazy.
Don't even live up to Larry Bird's expectations. You know what I mean?
I'm gonna tell you something crazy. I know how he feels, because every time I step on the basketball court, they always compare me to Jordan. So I can understand that comparison right there. Every time they compare me to Jordan, so I understand. Yeah.
All right, man. I think we had another great show. You'll be back tomorrow.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right. Cool. Yeah. I want to thank Kent Carlson. I want to thank Eastside Legend. I keep pronouncing Woo. What is that? Wash New. I want to appreciate you for tuning in, participating in the chat.
Hey, Mike, who was the super fan that paid us $1 for being on the podcast today?
Kent, that was Kent Carlson. Kent
Okay,
Carlson.
yeah. Thanks, Kent, for paying our paychecks this week. I appreciate that, Kent.
Who else? Eastside Legend. Yeah, man. So we'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. And fellas, I appreciate y'all for y'all input. And we'll be back tomorrow, Jack.
I got 2 bars left, baby. Right on time. 2 bars.
Yeah.